Let's get straight to it. 2017 Ford Escape. This is the 1.5 liter engine. So to cut the power to this vehicle, let's remove this negative battery terminal that's on this firewall here next to the battery. And that's going to be a deep socket 13 millimeter. So let's go ahead and remove that. Once it's removed, just place it to the side. That way it doesn't bounce back over there and make a ground accidentally. I have my vehicle raised in the air and I have my jack stand in place for safety. So I'm using the impact. So I have this in the air already, but it's not gonna spin. But just for the park and pause sake, I will still get this loose while it's on the ground a little bit, and then raise it all the way up off the ground and finish getting it off that way. So now that we got the battery disconnected, if you look back here, there's a sensor down in here. This is the speed sensor, the wheel speed sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and get this out. We're using a T25 torque socket or torque bit to get this out, and you can see it's turning now. So I'm gonna get this out and come right back. So once we get this small bolt out, then you see this right here is pretty loose already. If it wasn't, you just have to try to wiggle it side by side just like this, and then start to pull up until you get this out. And this is what it looks like here. So once we get that disconnected, I'm going to focus on getting this caliper bracket off with the caliper. So instead of taking this off piece by piece, I'm going to focus on getting this whole piece off as a whole. So there's a bolt here and a bolt here to be removed. So we're going to go ahead and get both of those off now. They look like they should be maybe 18 millimeters. So once I get the caliper and bracket off as one unit, I basically just hang it right here to this spring, and I can leave that till I'm ready to put it back on. So now that we have the caliper removed, we can get our rotor off. So this is already loose, but a lot of times this is stuck and hard to get off, and you have to get a hammer and just bang around the sides here. Be careful not to, if you're going to reuse the rotor, be careful not to hit the actual rotor part. So let's go ahead and get this off. So this nut right here is a 32 millimeter. I'm going to use my impact and 32 millimeter socket to get this out. So if you're a mechanic and you don't have one of these, it doesn't have to be an earthquake, but a battery power impact of this size, then you are cheating yourself. Definitely get you one of these. So now it's a good time to get this up here. This is a 15 millimeter to release this tie rod. So if this spins on you, then you can use an Allen tool to hold this still, and then use a wrench and come from the side and turn this out. And that's how you get past the problem of this spinning on you. But I'm going to use just my impact to get this up. Just that simple. And now gonna take a hammer and just hit on the side here. You can kind of see where this line is. I'm gonna try to hit on the sides over here and here, and to loosen up and free this. And because I don't want to, I'm going to reuse this, so I don't want to damage this other tie rod. So I'm going to hit around the sides of this and see if that comes out. All right, so after banging on this a good amount of times, I'm going to take a punch, set it in the center of here, and I'm going to hit this a bunch of times and see if I get something to move. All right, so that did the trick. After hammering down on this punch in the center of there, that knocked it out. So I'm pretty sure banging around on the sides of this a bunch of times definitely helped. So now we can go to the next step. So once this is removed, it's time to remove this lower ball joint. There's an 18mm nut that's on here. You can use an impact to get that off, or just a regular ratchet and wrench, a ratchet and socket, or a wrench. So now it's spinning on the other side. So that's a 15mm on this end to hold that to finish spinning this nut off. All right, so once I got that off, it was just very loose. I didn't even have to punch it through or anything like that. It pretty much came right out. So that's it for that bolt. All right, so I'm going to show you a very easy way to get this lower ball joint out of here. So if you take something metal and flat, like a washer or something, and you stick it in between the crack right there in the middle, then you take the bolt that originally came out of this hole and you put it through the other side, and you thread it through the other side on the left. Eventually the bolt would make contact with the washer, and as you tighten the bolt more, it would spread the two parts apart, and you won't have to use any tools or to pry this apart. You'll be able to keep it spread apart until you're ready to put the ball joint back in. And when you put the ball joint back in, it'll also be very easy to go in. All right, so once I used my bolt and washer spread technique, I was able to get the ball joint out. And you can see it's wet because I use a lot of penetrating oil. It's time to get this CV axle part out. So we can put a punch right in here or right on top of here and hammer this until this starts to recede. And once that goes, we can turn this and push this all the way out through this side. All right, so I was able to get the CV axle out. Now it's time to go to the next step. So this is the upper part of the steering knuckle right here that we also have to get off. So you can see what I did to get it off. It's the same exact concept. I took the bolt, switched it to the other side, used a washer, and now I'm able to spread this out to get this part off.